8-year-old Dao Jun holds up 5 fingers, offering the Chaebol patriarch 5 billion won. The adults dismiss it as childish nonsense, but Dao Jun maintains a solemn expression. Supporting the third presidential candidate will bring returns exceeding 1,000-fold. The uncle's smiles freeze in place. Their father had just sought their counsel, yet they waver between candidates 1 and 2. All get expelled from the room in disgrace. The eldest uncle mocks first. Candidate 3's poll numbers are rock bottom, destined for elimination. The boy answers with a proverb. Ever heard, when clams fight, fishermen profit? This shocks the family patriarch awake. A veteran of decades in politics and business, he'd never dare such bold predictions, yet his least favorite grandson shows this insight. Dao Jun drops another bombshell, predicting the top 2 will expose each other. He exits amid stunned silence. As Dao Jun leaves, breaking news alerts flood their phones. TV reveals the top candidates, publicly attacking each other. The second uncle rushes to the patriarch, already watching the news. Secretaries chase Dao Jun's departing car. The patriarch demands an immediate meeting, exactly as Dao Jun anticipated. His memories from a past life reveal the future's course. The patriarch questions Dao Jun's choice. Candidate 3 isn't leading the polls. Dao Jun recounts the fighting clams parable. Will be the profit-making fishermen. The top 2 candidates have rival Chaebols backing them. Their battle will leave both weakened. By supporting the third, we'll emerge victorious. The patriarch rises silently, posing a challenge instead. Solve this riddle correctly, and earn a reward. Know this saying? Fire burns city gates, ponds boil fish. How can small fish become fishermen? Dao Jun puzzles over this. An evening magazine reveals clues. He deciphers the patriarch's message. Korea's semiconductor industry is shrimp between US and Japan whales. The patriarch's true dilemma emerges. Sanyong Group Semiconductors can't compete technologically or financially. This is the real crisis at hand. Dao Jun calls the patriarch urgently, only to learn he's in Dubai negotiating. The return flight date matches the patriarch's death date from his past life. Dao Jun ran out and found a payphone to call the police. He said his grandpa's flight tomorrow would explode, but the police didn't believe him. They thought it was just a prank call. Dao Jun had no choice but to brave the heavy rain and go to his grandma's. He told his grandma he needed to call his grandpa, but because his grandpa was busy, a bodyguard answered the phone. He asked the bodyguard to tell his grandpa something important, that he knew the answer to his last question, and to please tell him not to take his flight today. But even though the bodyguard wrote it down, he couldn't find the note anywhere, and his grandpa's plane had already taken off. Dao Jun was restless with worry back home. He even fought his brother for the remote to watch the news, but there was no news. Instead, he got a call from his grandma. The whole family had gathered at his grandpa's. The plane had crashed, and when they confirmed the passenger list, the family was devastated. Just when Dao Jun thought he couldn't change fate, his grandpa stormed through the door. What's with all the long faces? Someone died. The room went from utter despair to pure joy. Everyone crowded around him, asking what had happened. But Grandpa didn't have time to explain. He just gave Dao Jun a knowing look and hurried upstairs. He'd survived the crash, because on the plane, he'd found Dao Jun's note. Dao Jun hadn't written that the plane would crash. He'd written that today was the deadline to acquire the semiconductor company. If he wasn't back by 5 p.m., he'd lose his chance to buy it. Grandpa read the note, deep in thought. He decided to take the first flight back to Seoul during his layover, and that's how he'd escaped the crash. Dao Jun's constant predictions sent chills down his spine. He had to ask, do you know the future? Tell me. Dao Jun said he'd just guessed what his grandpa was thinking. He knew the question about the shrimp and the whale was more than just a test. It reflected his grandpa's own anxieties about the semiconductor company. What he needed was someone on his side, someone who had his back. Grandpa seemed satisfied with his answer. It was time to reward Dao Jun. But Dao Jun didn't want money. Money could lose its value. He walked over to a map and asked for a piece of land. Looking at the barren land, the chairman didn't ask questions. He simply bought his grandson 50,000 square meters. He then took Dao Jun to his children. From now on, at every family gathering, Dao Jun's family will dine with us. Set a place for them. Everyone in the room was stunned. You see, years ago, Dao Jun's father defied an arranged marriage and was exiled by the Chaebol patriarch for over a decade. Dao Jun's arrival unexpectedly revived his standing, but the patriarch never anticipated that securing his position was just Dao Jun's first move. His true aim, to devour the entire Chaebol empire. In his past life, Dao Jun served as the family steward, attending to every family member's needs. He memorized dozens of relatives' peculiar habits. His professionalism awed his young subordinates, but behind the polished facade lay Dao Jun's hidden struggles. He performed every demeaning task in secret. A delayed toilet repair would earn the matriarch's scorn. The young master used him as a punching bag, even pouring boiling water on his head. When prosecutors raided the family, Dao Jun's fate took a turn. To hide financial fraud, Dao Jun was sent overseas to launder $600 million. The plan went smoothly, but as Dao Jun prepared to return, thugs ambushed him. The mastermind? His own protege. Someone coveted the $600 million and ordered his elimination. A gunshot, Dao Jun met his end, but surviving the fall, he time-traveled 20 years back, becoming the chaeble's youngest heir. On the patriarch's 60th birthday, the family gathers for celebration. The man receiving adoration, Sunyang Group's leader, Chen Yangzhe, the legendary figure he thought dead. Dao Jun confronts the patriarch. Aren't you Sunyang's founder? Chen Yangzhe himself? This can't be real. The family stares in shock. The chairman frowns at his grandson, with clear disdain. Born from his least successful son, grandmother tries to comfort him, but Dao Jun asks his identity. You're our youngest grandson, Chen Dao Jun. In this 8-year-old body, resides a 35-year-old soul. He knows the next 20 years of events yet to come. Imagine the storm he'll unleash across Korea's elite circles. Years later, Dao Jun comes of age. The barren land he requested gets government seized as predicted, yielding 24 billion won prop. The patriarch keeps his word, granting Dao Jun full control. News spreads. Uncle Second grows uneasy, warns Uncle First about Dao Jun. At just 20 years old, his financial genius is alarming, and the patriarch's favor. But Uncle First dismisses the kid, calls 24 billion mere pocket money, not worth concern. But the younger sister warned her brother. This money was likely a test from Chaebol Dad to assess Dao Jun's capabilities. The outcome could potentially overturn the current inheritance distribution. This revelation sparked anxiety in all three. Meanwhile, Dao Jun visited his father's office. He knew his father had zero interest in family wealth disputes. 10 years prior, he'd convinced Dad to acquire a movie's distribution rights, predicting its blockbuster success. But Dad dismissed it. A lonely Christmas film could never sell. Dao Jun insisted his intuition was right. The film became a smash hit, even winning international awards. Its profits bought them an office tower. Now Dao Jun approached Dad again, requesting a trip to America to attend a film festival. He had another movie investment in mind. Given their past success, Dad trusted Dao Jun's judgment. They flew to America together. Dao Jun accidentally knocked over a man's box of donuts. The man exploded in anger. His furious "Aish" revealed his Korean accent. After retrieving the donuts, he ignored their shared heritage, demanding $10 million compensation. Dao Jun retorted, "Rich, not stupid. A donut's worth $1 at most. Why would I pay $10 million? The man claimed he needed the donuts for successful investments. They were his lucky charm. Without them, his deals would fail. Now his luck was ruined, costing him $10 million. Dao Jun was speechless. As Dao Jun stood stunned, the man blew dust off a donut and took a huge bite. Today's investment can't fail now. At the festival, Dao Jun headed straight to Titanic's booth. He knew it would become a global phenomenon. Dad asked for his reasoning. Dao Jun struggled to explain. They encountered the donut man again, now discussing investments with a female executive. "Did you skip your lucky donut?" She criticized the lead actress, an unknown, aging nobody. "This film will bomb." The man pointed to the plot. A luxury cruise romance between rich girl and poor boy. Every adult's fantasy. The tragic ending hooks female viewers. Double demographic appeal guarantees success. Dao Jun marveled at his analysis, while Dao Jun relied on past life knowledge. This man used sharp business acumen. Noticing the man's documents, Dao Jun recognized him as future Asia-Pacific tycoon Wu Shijun. A plan formed in Dao Jun's mind. Partner with Wu to maximize their wealth. The next day, Dao Jun locates Wu Shijun, but he won't deal with a 20-year-old rookie. Dao Jun notices him watching chess championships, and recalls the historic moment when AI first challenged human champions. Dao Jun knew AI would triumph, but Wu Shijun remained skeptical. He believed AI couldn't read human minds. Dao Jun proposed a wager, and wrote his number on a napkin. "If AI wins, contact me immediately." Wu Shijun dismissed the prediction, until the match proved Dao Jun right. AI's first victory over humanity. When Wu grabbed the napkin, the number was smudged beyond recognition. He rushed out to find Dao Jun, who materialized before him instantly. In the park, Wu demanded, "How did you know?" "I've always had precise intuition." Dao Jun stood declaring, "I need your investment expertise." Wu scoffed at the audacious request. "I don't work with sub-$100M portfolios." Dao Jun stops the tycoon. What if I control billions? Thus their partnership formed. Meanwhile, Sun Yang's patriarch arranged succession. The uncle's test. Acquire a bankrupt steel mill. To expand Sun Yang's empire. Dao Juan's rising prominence alarmed the insecure uncle. The patriarch's warning echoed. Fail in your duties, and I'll replace you. To ensure acquisition success, he gathered expert consultants. News arrived. The 300 billion won steel mill soared to 500 billion. A foreign investor intervened. Panic gripped the uncle. Across town, reporters swarmed the scene. They demanded answers from the mysterious foreign buyer, revealed as Tycoon Wu Shijun. Reporters fired questions. Confirm the 500B acquisition. Wu confirmed. Everything's finalized. The deal is signed. Meanwhile at Sunyang HQ, the uncle's team analyzed Wu's sudden move. Where did this rival emerge from? Surveillance on Wu commenced. Track his every movement. Report all contacts. The patriarch grew suspicious, eyeing grandson Dao Jun again. A son remains loyal, but grandson's scheme. That night, Wu visited a shadowy figure, the reborn Dao Jun himself. Why challenge your own uncle? 500B is overpayment. Dao Jun silently gazed at Sunyang's glowing towers. Wu suddenly understood. The young man before us wasn't after the steel mill after all. His true target was the entire Sunyang group. Facing this rapidly changing situation, the impatient second uncle couldn't hold back any longer. He asked Dao Jun about the overseas investment firm that suddenly emerged in the steel company acquisition. Dao Jun didn't hide the truth, directly telling his uncle, if grandfather's rival takes the steel company, we'd better let the overseas firm acquire it. But Dao Jun failed to notice the strange look in his uncle's eyes. After days of covert investigation, he discovered Dao Jun's close ties to Wu Shijun. Dao Jun was likely Wu Shijun's financial backer. The next day, as Dao Jun and Wu Shijun discussed the acquisition, they received a complimentary flower basket. Unbeknownst to them, it contained a listening device. Their entire conversation was recorded and played before the Chaebol patriarch. The patriarch finally realized, could his grandson Chen Dao Jun be the mastermind? But he wasn't one to surrender easily. He summoned Wu Shijun to his office, getting straight to the point. Did you accept investment from Chen Dao Jun? Wu Shijun confessed. I did receive his investment, but not for acquiring Hando Steel. It was for a small book-selling website. We even argued about it. It's like throwing money into the ocean. The patriarch pressed further. Then why is the American firm trying to acquire Hando Steel? Wu Shijun explained. I was seeking Korean investments, and happened upon this opportunity. He warned the patriarch. We're not the only bidders for Hando Steel. Daeyoung Group has joined the race. But Daeyoung's cash flow was cut off. Who's funding them now? When Wu Shijun revealed the name, both men were stunned. The secret backer of Daeyoung Group was his own second son, Chen Dongji. The secretary suggested summoning Dongji to stop this before it's too late, but the patriarch refused. Business has no family ties. Sentimentality in business leads to failure. The eldest uncle gathered a think tank to calculate the bidding floor overnight. The 300 billion won project now required 750 billion to compete. Their total funds only reached 700 billion with bonds. As the uncle prepared to sell shares, his sister Weiyong appeared. She offered 50 billion won if he supported her husband's political campaign. An easy trade for the uncle. They struck the deal, and he acquired Hando Steel for 750 billion won. At dinner, the uncle anxiously waited, but the patriarch remained silent. He simply asked for more soup. When the daughter-in-law served him soup, to the head of the household, seeing his father finally acknowledge his status, uncle nearly burst into tears. Meanwhile, two who should mourn failed investments suddenly broke into cheerful laughter. This was all part of Dao Juan's grand scheme, aiming to inflate Sunyang Group's acquisition price, crippling them with insurmountable debt. Dao Jun foresaw the imminent global financial crisis. Grandfather gloomily watched bankruptcy news daily. Dao Jun profited massively from investing in Amazon, making 900 times the profit. Soon the financial crisis erupted globally, burdened by previous debts. Grandfather's company suffered unprecedented losses. Dao Jun panicked after reading certain news. He slammed documents on Wu Shijun's desk. Dao Jun ordered immediate acquisition of Yeojin Auto. This was Dao Jun's first outburst since time traveling, confusing Wu Shijun completely. Countless companies rival Yeojin Auto. Failure here just means targeting another. No need for drastic measures. Dao Jun had to reveal the true reason for acquiring Yeojin Auto, to maintain family leadership. This reason left Wu Shijun speechless. Dao Jun's sharp vision and strategic mastery had always earned Wu's absolute trust. Now spending 2 trillion on this acquisition, just to retain factory workers, this defies capitalist fundamentals. Their partnership seemed unsustainable. but Wu never expected. No matter how furious he became, Dao Jun insisted on worker retention, even emerging from shadows publicly, to negotiate with grandfather directly. Dao Jun's motive was saving his birth mother. In past life, his father worked at Jin Auto, was heartlessly laid off, then brutally beaten during protests, causing his mother to collapse upon seeing the news, leading to her tragic death. Hence Dao Jun avoids relationships this life, focusing solely on wealth accumulation, to acquire Jin Auto during crisis, eliminating his mother's misfortune source. When Dao Jun returned home, grandfather was absent. Cousin said president intervened in acquisition, demanding merger of family's auto business, with Jin Auto, under rival Dang Motors management. Branded, divide and perish, unite and survive. This simple news alerted Dao Jun to fresh opportunities. He rushed back to Wu Shijun, now regaining composure, resuming his strategic demeanor. Scene transition. Wu Shijun faced Dao Jun's grandfather, proposing to preserve domestic auto production, while acquiring Jin Auto, but grandfather had exhausted all options. None could save domestic auto business. He accused Wu of opportunism, until Wu presented an irresistible argument. Back then, to acquire the steel company, Dragonrise Group pooled all resources for 750 billion. Now the group faces bankruptcy in this economic crisis, yet they casually demanded 2 trillion. How could Grandpa not be tempted? But this immediately put Grandpa on alert. He couldn't figure out their true intentions. Wu Shijun had anticipated this all along. He claimed it was the major investor's request, then quoted Grandpa's own past words. This is the righteous path of business. Only Dao Jun knew this phrase, because just 2 days earlier, Dao Jun had asked him the same question, and this was the answer he received. Now with 2 trillion secured, Grandpa could finally stand his ground, refusing merger with rival Daeyoung Group, demanding more government support policies. He promised to deliver results during his term, a satisfactory performance report. Thus Jin Auto acquisition succeeded. Grandpa announced retaining all workers. Dao Jun's father regained his vitality. Everything followed Dao Jun's plan. To ease his mother's rent worries, he bought all nearby derelict properties, but as he cheerfully prepared to deliver the contracts to his mother, his gaze froze abruptly. White lanterns hung at her doorway. With trembling disbelief, Dao Jun entered slowly, ignoring everyone around him, eyes locked on the portrait. Neighbor Lao Wang informed him, mother ended her own life. Dao Jun knew she'd never do this. There must be hidden reasons. At her small restaurant, he smashed the sign through the window, broke in and ransacked the place. Knowing her bookkeeping habit, he searched for the ledger, instead found his high school transcript. Remembering his college dreams, crushed by poverty, watching his past self walk away, Dao Jun finally broke down. Her money troubles must have overwhelmed her, regretting not coming sooner. Back in the car, Dao Jun kept examining her belongings, found her compiled notes on Sanyong technology information, checked all her bank books. She'd borrowed heavily to buy this stock. His frugal mother. Why gamble on stocks? Sanyong Tech was the only clue. At the library, he researched, found Suanyang's abnormal stock trends. Prices soared from opening bell, multiplied several times over, then crashed and got delisted. Discussed with Wu Shijun at HQ, the strangest part was, an American pharma company, bought low, sold before bankruptcy, made massive profits. He's investigating this pharma firm. All leads point to Sunyang's executives. They've long planned to liquidate Sanyong Tech. But first, they'll leak positive news, luring clueless retail investors to rush in. The stock price would skyrocket, then sell off shares before bankruptcy. After securing 90 billion profit, they'd announce the collapse, leaving small investors with nothing. When Dao Jun uncovers this scheme, he's outraged. He storms into his grandfather's office, demanding answers about the deception. The old man claims he merely made a minimal loss deal. Then he challenges Dao Jun. Since when do you care about business? Why interrogate me now? Dao Jun suppresses his fury, mumbles excuses, and flees. Outside Sanyong Tower, protesters with signs demand justice. His heart churns with conflict. In the crowd's periphery, a figure resembling his mother. He doubts his own eyes, but trails her stealthily. She gazes at Sunyang's glowing sign, then at her tattered clothes and shoes. Resolve hardens in her eyes. She dashes toward an oncoming bus. Dao Jun realizes her tragic fate. Staring at the corporate slogan, integrity in business, mocks him. He vows silently, I'll avenge my mother's death. With fresh capital, the patriarch targets a new city development project. To secure absolute control, he grooms his own mayor candidate, appoints his heir as project lead, and personally manages deals. A golden path for his successor. But Dao Jun, knowing his grandfather's guilt, won't let this scheme succeed. he counters by backing his own mayor, his meek uncle-in-law, old Chui, a low-status son-in-law. Chui's been the family's doormat. Though promoted from security guard to prosecutor by his wife, his political ambitions were crushed by the patriarch's veto. His wife's fierce pleas failed to change her father's mind. Dao Jun sends Wu Shijun to recruit them, but fear of the patriarch's wrath makes them hesitate. Wu confronts Chui directly. You hold leverage over Daeyang. Me? Chui's spine stiffens with purpose. Tempted by 20 billion in funding, they agree to the dangerous pact. The patriarch learns of Chui's candidacy, calls Chui's superiors, and extinguishes his campaign. Dao Jun anticipated this move. He waits calmly in the courtyard. His aunt arrives screaming, but Dao Jun intercepts them, delivering a wake-up call. If you want to meet the Grand Chairman, it's better for uncle to go alone. What are you talking about? Why are you siding with him? If auntie accompanies him, he'll only be seen as a son-in-law. Finally, with Dao Jun's guidance, old Chui faced the Chaebol patriarch alone. Even under the patriarch's pressure, he stood his ground firmly. He declared he'd quit as mayor to become a corporate raider. Years as their son-in-law gave him insider knowledge. The patriarch instantly realized someone was pulling strings. He reluctantly approved the campaign and ordered an investigation. To his surprise, it only led to miracle capital. Dao Jun remained hidden. Old Chui became mayor, receiving the patriarch's forced congratulations. The patriarch demanded family interests in new city bids, but his plan backfired. When old Chui secured the project, such a lucrative deal wouldn't be surrendered easily. Summoning old Chui, he demanded the mastermind's name. The formerly meek mayor met his gaze defiantly, declaring the bid was fair. No foul play occurred. Any objections could be filed officially. My true backing is sole citizens. This bold declaration left no openings. The patriarch grew wary of the strategist. He resolved to eliminate this growing threat. That afternoon, authorities raided Miracle Capital. On fabricated charges, Wu Shijun was detained to expose the mastermind. Witnessing this, Dao Jun knew his time to act had come. He must step forward. That night, he entered the tea room, marching toward the patriarch. The patriarch awaited. Dao Jun laid out his terms: release Wu Shijun, or face scandal exposure. Land speculation, bribes to the mayor, all traced to your family. Suanyang Group will fall. The patriarch demanded motives. Dao Jun revealed, I'll acquire Suanyang. The patriarch laughed, seeing his younger self. He withdrew investigations into the mayor's case, and freed Wu Shijun. But surrender wasn't his way. That night, he visited his heir. Finding him working late, he promised support. Next day, Miracle Capital lost all media tenants for new city project. Suanyang threatened ad polls. The culprit was obvious. One strategic move emptied new city. Development became pointless. But Dao Jun's uncle remained mayor, delaying cancellation. Yet shock came when uncle called, issuing an ultimatum: find anchor tenants by month end, or transfer the project. The successor was already in his office. Dao Jun drank on the rooftop, frustrated that his future knowledge had finally failed him. One day confronting the patriarch brought cascading crises.